Hey, what's up, solar family? It's James here. Hopefully you're doing amazing. In this video, I want to go over the secrets to earning $100,000 a year in the solar industry. And after I break this down, you're going to see that it's not that hard, right? It's not that difficult. Obviously, with good mentorship and things to that nature, good company, it's not that difficult. And that's what makes this industry so amazing. We have so many people getting on board with solar because they see a more purposeful career. And there's so many people like in the real estate industry, car sales, retail, you name it. There's a gamut of industry that folks are starting to jump into solar industry because they see the power of helping other people and they see the power of making great commissions with very little time and effort, right? Obviously, don't get me wrong. You have to have great mentorship and you have to have these three things to make it easier for yourself, right? But if you don't have these three things, it's gonna be a little bit more difficult, right? But before I get into the video, if you haven't scheduled your free solar strategy call, especially if you're new in the industry, you're struggling with your sales pitch or even marketing, or you wanna get in the industry, make sure you book your solar strategy call. It's gonna be a pop-up somewhere around this video. So let's dive right into the video. So the first thing that you need to start earning an amazing career in this industry is you need to work for a good company, right? And I know good company is pretty broad, right? So I want to, be a little more specific. You need to find a company that has really good reviews because homeowners are really smart these days. Because solar is a high ticket sale. It can range from $20,000, $40,000 to even $100,000. And homeowners nowadays are doing a lot more due diligence and looking for great solar companies, great reviews, right? So to get ahead of the curve, Google solar companies in your local area and find one that has great reviews. And not only do you need to find a good company with great reviews, you need to find a solar company that's going to pay you straight commission, right? And I know that can be a little scary, especially if you're coming from a W-2 or a salary, position. Straight commission is going to be your the best opportunity to make a significant amount of money in this industry, right? So, for example, ideally, you want to find a company that's going to pay you right around $1 a watt, right? And right now, that may not make sense to you, but if you're interviewing for solar companies, keep $1 a watt in mind, right? If they start talking about, 25 cents a watt or, 15 cents a watt, then you know, right? Your range is right around $1 a watt. That's the sweet spot where you're gonna make great money. Because, for example, if you sold a 4 kilowatt system, that just means 4,000 watts, right? So 4,000 watts times $1 a watt, that's a $4,000 commission. And now you can see how, it gets a little bit easier to make $100,000 a year in the solar industry. And again, so make sure you find a solar company that has really good reviews, whether that's the BBB, Yelp, Google, or whatnot, because it's really gonna help you. And also find a solar company that's gonna pay you straight commission and ideally at $1 a watt. The second thing that you need is a good lead source, right? So there's a few ways for you to generate leads. You can knock on doors, basically door to door. And obviously during this pandemic, I'm not sure if you can do that in your local, neck of the woods. So make sure you check with your city or whatnot. You can even knock on doors or go canvas or sit at the farmer's market or whatnot. But that would be some ways to generate leads. And I know some amazing entrepreneurs and solar consultants in this industry making multiple six figures a year just knocking on doors, right? So it's possible. You can also buy leads. But just be careful when you're buying leads, right? Because there's a lot of folks out there as well that's gonna claim that they have the best lead source ever. They're gonna book leads on your calendar. The only thing that you need to do is shoot them over a $5,000, retainer via PayPal, right? So be careful. Do your due diligence as well. Look into the company that you're looking into buying leads from and find out their reviews as well before you invest a lot of money into a lead source. Or maybe you're gonna run ads, right? For me personally, I suggest, create a personal brand, just like James the Solar Energy Expert, just like the brand I created. It's a perfect way to position yourself as an expert, a person of authority. So it's really critical that you find a good lead source, and you need to sit down with at least, right? You need to sit down with at least 10 homeowners every single month, right? That's the magic sweet spot number, is 10 homeowners. So that may require you to knock on 100 doors. That may be, 20 doors. That may be 10 doors. I'm not sure, right? I'm not sure of your skills or whatnot if you're, deciding to door to door. That may, cost you $1,000 worth of leads, if you decide to buy it. That may be, $500 worth of ad spend. I'm not sure, right? But ideally, you want to sit down with 10 homeowners. But keep in mind as well, right? It comes down to numbers. Because just because 10 homeowners tell you, yeah, this sounds good, let's go ahead and book that consultation on Friday at 5 p.m., keep in mind that 50% of those homeowners that book that consultation with you are going to decide to cancel. They're going to drop off. They got something to do. So just keep that in mind. So for you to be able to sit down with 10 homeowners, that may require you to have at least 20 scheduled consultation, right? To compensate for the 50+% that's going to decide to fall off, right? But don't worry, you're going to be able to get them back later. But that's just how the numbers work, right? So just be prepared, because if you book 10 solar consultations, just keep in mind that 50+% of those are going to drop off, right? For whatever reason, they're going to cancel. So keep that in mind. 10 homeowners, that's the sweet spot, right? Every single month, you should be shooting for 10 solar consultations, meaning that you sat down or you jumped on a Zoom meeting with at least 10 homeowners. So that leads me to tip number 3, is you need to have a good sales pitch. You have to be able to close at least 30% of those 10 homeowners. That's going to lead you with 3 closed deals every single month. Does that make sense? So learn a really good lean and mean sales pitch. Ideally, your sales presentation should be within an hour to 2 hours long. My students, what I teach them, it's literally 30 minutes. And then from there, the homeowner can decide whether or not solar's for them, and we can go our merry way, right? Ideally, we want them to decide, to install solar on their home. But if they decide not to, that's all great as well. I only spent 30 minutes of my time. But if they do decide to move forward, ideally it's right around an hour, right? If we have to sign like the paperwork, if I had to send out all the loan docs and all the loan paperwork, it's about right around an hour long, right? And where else are you gonna make $4,000 in a 1 hour solar consultation? Think about that for a second, right? I mean, legally, right? There's probably other ways you can make that kind of money illegally, but legally. So enable for you to make $100,000+ a year in the solar industry, and you're closing at 30%. Imagine if you're making $4,000 per commission times 3. So $4,000 times 3 deals a month, that's $12,000. You're making $12,000. So I overshot that, right? I under-promised and over-delivered in this video. So that's about, $144,000 if I did my math correctly. And don't get me wrong, I'm really poor at math. But that's about $144,000 by closing 3 deals, right? You sitting down with 10 homeowners, closing 3 deals, and you're making $100,000+ a year, 144 to be exact with this number. And say, you didn't do that well that year. And let's cut this thing in half, right? Instead of making $144,000, you're making like $70,000+, right? That's pretty darn good still, right? I think you can make a pretty good living by making $70,000 a year, even if you cut this thing in half, right? That's a pretty good darn living. So again, make sure that you have a good company to work with. Ideally, they have great reviews and they're paying you straight commission, about $1 a watt. Find a good lead source. Whether you're knocking on doors, you're buying leads, you're running ads yourself, sit down with at least 10 homeowners. And from there, close 30% of that with a really good lean and mean sales pitch. And if you need help with any of these, make sure you book your solar strategy call. It's gonna be a pop-up somewhere around this video. We would love to dive in deeper with you. I teach all my students how to be lean and mean, because at the end of the day, I want you to have freedom, right? Not only financial freedom, I want you to have location freedom, meaning that just as long as you have a Wi-Fi connection and your laptop, you're closing deals, right? So again, if you want to dive in deeper, if you want to, maybe improve your sales presentation or maybe learn about marketing, make sure you book that call. There's gonna be a pop-up somewhere around this video. But before you take off, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, do me a favor and click the subscribe button and also that like notification so this video gets shared to all of our solar family. Other than that, have an amazing day. Goodbye for now. Peace.